and sophomores in college. As you would guess, we go out and drink, come back, do things we don't remember. We had just started our rent in August, 3 floors plus a basement, which was padlocked by the owners. Understandable. We would definitely have parties down there to avoid immediate cleanup. The house was great, amazing location to the school and work. I am a CNA who works odd hours, important for later. It was not expensive and good condition. I have never lived with that many people before, just one roommate, so before we definitely knew if one of us had misplaced or changed something. I started to notice my snacks were either half gone or completely gone. I was getting annoyed, but a house of so many people, it's too much work to go to figure out who ate what, so I ignored it. Slowly, as girls do, we started making comments about someone eating our food, but passively aggressively, college girls. We all just let it go, cause who wants a whole house fight? I work until about 11 in NICU, get home at about 11:30 on most weeknights. I started to notice pans left out or snack wrappers around. I thought it was odd because none of my roommates had done that before, but just thought, oh, they probably drank a actual semblance of a town is 25 minutes away. The occasional homeless person is no big deal. They're often drifting through. Drug addicts run rampant and will steal everything they can from your house, but it's the normal out here. However, what happened a few years ago certainly wasn't normal. Originally, I was dead asleep in my bed. I only woke up because it was burning hot in my room. But it was summertime and not much I could do. I just remember tossing and turning until I got a creepy feeling that fell into the pit of my stomach. I glanced over into the bathroom door that was open with the light on. Everything was normal. I left the light on so I wouldn't trip and die if I had to pee in the middle of the night. Next, I glanced at the window directly from my bed, across from my bed. I had no curtains, but I did have a shitty set of blinds. Part of the blinds are broken from wear and tear, and the crappy AC output beneath it would make them move back and forth, so you'd get a glimpse outside every so often. I hate that. The yard light was still going, but what made me stop was the outline at my window. The figure of someone was directly at my window, almost like it was waiting for the blinds to move to watch me. I didn't have an imagination as a child. That had been trained out of me, but the sight was enough to pour every horror film into my head at that moment. I squeezed my eyes shut and pulled my blankets over my head and slept in a cloth oven that night. By morning time, the figure was gone. I remember running to tell my mom, on the verge of tears in the morning. When I told her what happened, she laughed at me like I was an idiot and told me it was probably just a stray cat that had climbed up there for one odd reason or another. I almost believed her since my window was pretty high off the ground, but something didn't sit right. Later that day, when we were doing yard work, I glanced over at my window and saw one of our metal patio chairs had been pushed up to it. I pointed it out to my mom, who proceeded to chew me out. That's how the cat probably got up there, moron. Stop leaving furniture everywhere. But I hadn't moved it. It was heavy enough that I struggled with it. So we moved it back, and so began a pattern. At night, I'd see the figure, complain to my mom, and we'd find a chair moved back every single morning. This went on for a few weeks. My mother stopped caring about concerns until one morning we saw where the outside screen of my window had been sliced open. I still remember her shaking her head and complaining about those damn stray cats that we still had yet to see. I could tell that she was unnerved by that development. I couldn't handle it anymore, and I opted to sleep in our living room that night. The only problem was our kitchen and living room connected, which meant there were always several windows. The first night of my move went well, despite my back hurting from the couch. I avoided my room like the plague. It wasn't until about 4 days later we ran into an issue. I woke up and glanced at the clock above the fireplace. It read a little past 3 a.m. I couldn't realize why I'd woken up until it happened again, but there was a beam of light shining in from the kitchen window, almost like someone was shining a flashlight in. I saw it trace along the walls and land on the love seat across from the couch I was on. I was mortified. When I told my mom, she continued to laugh at me. I gave in and decided I would sleep in my dad's room, even though it had a gigantic window. He slept in the recliner with a huge TV, so I just remember listening to the TV until I fell asleep again, hoping to get another glimpse. My dad would have been pissed if I woke him up. He was grumpy on a good day and terrifying on a bad day. I didn't feel like risking it unless I had solid proof because I was scared. The next morning, my mom chewed me out again for the patio furniture, which was a routine almost a month later. But this time, something new happened. She demanded I stop playing in the toolboxes of the garage. A bunch of tools had been taken out and left on our doorstep. Screwdrivers, a large hammer, flashlights, etc. It wasn't me. I begged with my mom and pleaded with her, just stay up with me one night. We couldn't close our garage because it was an open carport, and I wasn't going to get my ass beaten for touching tools because of someone else. It was driving me mad. Finally, she agreed. That night we would stay awake in the living room. I finally fell asleep before my mom did, but I remember her waking me up in a panic. She pointed to the window that overlooked into our garage, and we could see the top of someone's head as they walked back and forth. There was a sound of someone placing metal tools down on the brick steps, as if they were trying to be quiet but couldn't fully muffle it. She whispered for me to go wake up my dad. My dad was angry, having been woken up in the middle of the night by his frantic daughter. He grabbed his pistol and headed out from the back door, toward the front of the house where the garage was located. We heard my dad screaming and someone dropping tools. Then the shot of a gun twice. The frantic footsteps pounding out of the garage felt like they were coming from my chest. My mom peeked out the window and then opened the door, and my dad stumbled in. He had missed both shots because of his unstable aim, but told us that there was a man crouching at our front door looking at the door handle. None of us slept that night, and in the morning, the law from the closest town arrived. They didn't do much besides ask if anything had been stolen, for a description of the man, and then told us to install cameras. That was it. They said the guy was probably just looking for something easy to steal for quick money. If that had been the case, why hadn't he stolen the tools, the generator, the welder, or broken into any of the vehicles just sitting in the garage? We finally set up hunting trail cameras around the house, but nothing has happened since. Coming home from college for holidays, I still have nightmares about the incident, years later when I sleep in my own bed. I don't know what he was looking for, or why he did the things he did. Whatever the case may be, man at the window, let's not meet. In the first comment it says, your parents are assholes. Agreed. If my child, or anybody for that matter, came up to me in my house and was like, hey, there's a man watching me at the window when I sleep at night, why would I not believe them? Why would I not? I would be shitting my pants too. I'd be like, oh shit, like, that's terrifying. Let's move out. I definitely wouldn't just brush it under the rug. Like, the patio furniture moving every day for like a month, like, the cut in the screen, like, I don't know. It seems like their parents were literally just assholes. And here's the last one. This story is called The Phone Call I'll Never Forget, and it is from the user, That Girl from That Thing. This happened yesterday, and before anyone says anything, yes, I know I'm stupid. I had just gotten home from work around 9 p.m. and I'd barely had time to get my shoes off when I get a phone call from some number I don't recognize. I'm searching for new jobs and thought that it might be one of the places that I was applying to calling me back. I pick it up, and it's some guy who says that he's some kind of third-party detention center, which, as he explained it, was for low-risk inmates that were sent there whenever the local jails were busy or filled. That should have set off a nice big red flag for me, but for whatever reason, it just made sense in my brain. I'm getting ready to tell this guy I'm not interested in making a donation or anything like that when he asks if this is my full name. I confirm and he says that they're holding my boyfriend at this center, saying my boyfriend's full name and giving a dead-on description of him. I ask what's going on since my boyfriend is supposed to be at work right now, and the guy on the other end provides an explanation. He says that my boyfriend had struck a pregnant woman with his car on his way to work and was 4 times the legal limit for blood alcohol. He says the woman was in critical condition and that my boyfriend had broken a few ribs in his nose in the accident. I'm freaking out at this point and ask if I can speak to my boyfriend, which the man obliges. I'm put on hold for a minute or two before my boyfriend picks up the line. This person on the other end was panicking, saying how it wasn't his fault and begged me not to tell his parents, again using my name. It didn't particularly sound like my boyfriend, but I figured it was because of the broken nose he supposedly had, and his tone really helped to sell it, because it all sounded so legitimate. The man from before comes back on the line before I can ask any questions, and explains that they had to sedate my boyfriend since he had began to panic and hyperventilate, which I was starting to relate to more and more by this second. The man on the other end tells me that I should come right away and that the bail is set at $2,000 cash only. I stupidly tell him that I don't have that much and that I have maybe half of that. He tells me that it's fine and that I can work something out with the front office once I get there, and to just bring what I have, and seeming like he's trying to calm me down. He's giving me the address and I can barely hold a pen because my hands are shaking so bad, and I'm very poorly trying to hold back tears. All of a sudden, the door opens up and in walks my boyfriend, completely normal looking, no broken nose, but more than a little confused as to why I'm crying. I'm still on the phone with the man and ask him what the fuck he thinks he's doing, telling him how my boyfriend just walked in and he promptly hangs up. I tried calling back a few times, but it went directly to voicemail. Find out the power to the bar my boyfriend works at had gone out, so his boss sent everyone home early, and I had never been so grateful for a power outage. My boyfriend slept on the couch to keep watch, but unfortunately I still couldn't sleep that night, so I decided to look up the name of the organization the man said he worked for. Big surprise, that turned up nothing. I then looked up the address he had given me on Google Maps and see that it was some random abandoned strip mall in the middle of a sketchy-ass area that was about an hour and a half out of town. What really freaked me out about the whole thing was the guy knew my number, both me and my boyfriend's names, but didn't sound like anyone we had met before. I have no idea what would have been waiting for me there, but I'm counting my lucky stars right now. So to the guy who wanted to meet me for God knows what at the sketchy-ass strip mall, let's not meet. That is so creepy because, like, they gave a dead-on description of her boyfriend. They knew her full name, they knew his full name. Like, they were really trying to sell it, like they made it out to be a serious situation and were trying to get her to come to this address that they provided to her. So obviously they had ill intentions, but like they really did some research and they really like were good at what they were doing, like trying to sell it. So who knows what they would have done to her if she actually went. So scary. Stuff like that just makes you like not want to trust anybody. Like if somebody called me and said that while my fiance was gone, of course I'm going to like panic immediately. Like you're not even gonna think that it might be fake because like you don't just get those calls randomly, you know? Like you only get a call like that if something serious is actually happening.